So, as probably people who are involved uh, more deeply in the large language models well know, it's been going on. The research and the development's been about 15 years, maybe more, and then it basically launched to the public, let's say 3 or 4 years ago. And the absolute adaptation on scale, I mean, maybe the transistor chip, I can't, but see, this thing is not just for engineers. Everybody understands it. It's like going to a magic show. You just, everybody likes the results of a magic show. You just, whoa. And that's kind of like the general audience's perception. And I mean, obviously there's people like, I know it's AI slop, like my kids, my older adult kids call it, and a lot of teenagers are calling it. But basically anybody who works at companies knows that everybody's adapting it and nobody wants to be negative. So we're all like blown away by it. And it really is mind blowing. So I started looking into like, how are these LLMs? What are large language models, and how are they picking? How to basically, everybody's talking about on LinkedIn. I mean, there's like, I don't know, I have thousands and thousands of posts on it, and also on X, but basically getting picked up by the big, I call them the big five. U.S. search engines. Of course, there's the LLMs, and of course, there's LLMs outside of the United States, Minstrel and EU, and then there's a few in China. So anyhow, I started understanding that basically I wanted to create kind of like backlinks or sort of like light websites that would be considered authoritative domains, or eventually be domains that would help bring traffic to like sites that I'm actually more interested in, and also just to see if I can build traffic on these sites themselves and have affiliate links. All white hat. There'd be clearly labeled articles, would be clearly labeled that they're generated by AI, but reviewed by a person, which is me. So I have, just on my Cloudflare, I have chat ad hyphen land. That's a page, a Cloudflare page. I have a domain that I had hired a developer to do on WordPress, and then on Woo, using WooCommerce, and then I basically rebooted it to sell my daughter's art. It's called Devorah's Art. I have another page, Cloudflare page called FitFeed, which is about fitness, which I really need read my own advice, the only advice that's being generated. Then I have another Cloudflare page called Claude Plus You, which is going to be to pitching Claude solutions, kind of like me being like a hands-on person for small businesses to help them integrate the LLMs. Doesn't have to be specific for Claude. But Claude has pitched this whole thing where they're going after the SMB market, the small medium business market, mainly in the United States, because there's like 25 million businesses classified as small, which is about up to 50 people. So in Israel, like a 50-person company is like already gigantic. But anyhow, so there's FitFeed, Claude Plus You. Then there's another site, which I'm actually really working on, called Convo Margin, which has to do with conversations, LLM tracking the profit and loss margin on every single prompt from the first prompt until the end of the project, which is coming along. It's still in development stages. I have a page called Trump Legacy Insights, chronicling Trump's first term and second term, and also historical stuff about him. Maybe I'll post that somewhere and people could read what about all the different things that are sourced about him. These are from articles and reports written about him. People can make their own decisions, which they pretty much already have. And then I have a website called Israeli Leads, which is about not just bringing Israeli companies to the U.S. market, because basically everybody knows that they're going to, as soon as they raise money, they're going to go to California, maybe Texas, Florida, or New York. Those are kind of like the big four states and California dominates because of the access to the VC. So I have a whole website, but about not just those four states, but about actually finding grants and other sources of revenue and leads in the other states that exist in the United States, because it's not just about Texas, California, Florida, or New York, but those are California being the most dominant. As I mentioned, the place where almost all US Israeli companies set up shop for a lot of obvious reasons. So that's just on one of my Cloudflare. I made a mistake and I opened up two to Cloudflare sites using their free services, and I have a bunch of dev pages on a different login, which is kind of a stupid thing. It's this vibe coder thing to learn. Us poets, we learn along the way, and that's actually kind of the purpose of these videos, is to kind of show kind of insights to if somebody's unleashing this on like regular people who are not back end developers. And vibe coding is basically kind of really an expensive way of doing all this because it's ridiculously inefficient. So I'm starting to learn the efficiency, starting to learn my own inefficiencies, and also how to improve. And along the way, I've learned a lot, and I want to share what I've learned. And I'm thinking some of you probably already know all this information or know a lot of this information, and would love to have conversations with really anybody who's, I'm seeming like it seems like everybody, but to have more like really what's going on behind the scenes with AI and with LLMs, and am I really going to lose my job? Like a lot of people in Israel, a company, Monday.com, just fired 620 people. There's been a lot of layoffs in Israel, and of course, people are talking about 25 to a percent or more of high tech layoffs are going to be hitting Israel. But if, at the same time as this is happening, and those layoffs are real, there's massive companies are receiving billion-dollar valuations, and AIs, not just Israeli companies, but companies in Europe and companies in the United States, and a lot of these companies have Israelis inside of them that are outside of Israel. So it's like a lot of things are happening at the exact same time. So it's kind of like, it does remind me of .com 1.0 when I was living in it. Of course, it started in California and it went east to Manhattan, and then the bubble burst. But the bubble really didn't burst because companies survived. Some didn't, many didn't. And did we learn anything? It seems like nobody learns anything because people don't like to read history books. Anyhow, that's my introduction to my, as you can see, my kind of stream of consciousness way of thinking. And this is the second video in the series, and I'm going to have a third video about the other Cloudflare and how I used and then there'll be a fourth one about how I used Claude and CoWork, and how it kind of, some of the hiccups and challenges that I came across, and the switch to Cursor, and how it's, I think, really improved my workplace. I'm not saying that people shouldn't use CoWork. Maybe CoWork really works for a lot of people, and I am using the free versions of a lot of this stuff. So potentially some of the challenges that I came across, some of the blocks that I came across in CoWork, was because I was trying to do things on free Vercel and GitHub and Supabase accounts. So I will put it out there as a caveat that potentially some of the blocks I encountered were due to my trying to be as lean in my spend as possible. All right, bye.